there. How are you?
You did it. All right. I love the hair.
Oh, yeah, different forms of expression.
Yeah, looks amazing. Looks
So,
amazing.
thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. We're going to get right in, and I'm going to
Yeah,
introduce you. Hello, how are you?
great. I'm
Nick,
so excited to
and
be here.
I would love for the audience to get to know you in your own words. So, who are you, and what do you do? Let's get right to it.
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Nick Maccarone, and I grew up in Oakland, California, but I've spent probably almost a third of my life at this point in New York and New York City.
Hmm.
And I was an actor, and I am an actor, and actor, writer, filmmaker. Recently wrote a book, so I guess I'm an author now, and I'm trying to
Awesome.
speak, yeah, and do a lot of community volunteer work, and so yeah, I do. I guess a lot of things, like yourself, KK. So trying to keep up with you.
Well, I take pages and little paragraphs from your book of life on social media whenever I get time across. And I recently watched one of your TED talks, and that was really like very deep, very eye opening, and I can even relate that to my life. So, besides being an actor and a filmmaker and a writer and a public speaker and a teacher, man, you've got so many things going on. What motivates you? What inspires you?
I guess a lot of things. It's a wonderful question. I think one of them is to just to be of service to my community, my whether that's actors, whether that's young people, whether that's people who just need sort of a leg up. And so one of the things that I'm really focused on now is empowering actors
Yeah.
and giving them their power back. Because I think a lot of actors, they sort of equate their self-worth with
Mm-hmm.
their IMDb page. And that was really bumming me out because I had a lot of really super talented actor and artist friends that were allowing the industry to sort of dictate their level of self-worth and the value that they have. And it was unfortunate because I knew that they had so much to offer. So I wanted to kind of take a little bit more of a holistic approach and combine the lessons that I learned in the last 12, 13 years of my life, not just as an actor, but as a community volunteer and a world traveler.
Yeah.
And all those things help serve me. And this is the crazy thing, KK, is it made me a much better actor.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what shows that have you been in? What shows or movies? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think every New York actor has to do their Law and Order. If you go to a Broadway show and you open up the playbill, every actor has done a Law and Order, and it actually can get very stressful because if you're a New York actor for a long time and you haven't done your Law and Order, people think there's something wrong with you.
Have you been on Law and Order?
Because there's so many different versions of the Law and Order, and it's been on forever. So if you're not
Yes.
on it, so finally doing my Law and Order was actually just a relief. Uh,
Nice.
but just did the lot of the procedurals in New York, like the Law and Order SVU and Elementary, and a show on MTV called Eye Candy, and then a show called Unforgettable, and then some small feature films, and then a little bit on little piece on Scandal, and then just a ton of theater.
Wow,
Uh,
that's awesome.
yeah, it was a wonderful experience.
So what are you currently working on right now?
So right now I'm working on a one-man show, and the title of the show is called Long Way Home,
Hmm.
and it basically is about the last year of my life transitioning from New York back to Oakland after almost 11, 12 years away, and
Wow.
what that transition has been about. Because I'm sure you can attest to this, KK, when you do so many things or you sort of define yourself by those things, and if you suddenly are not doing one of those things anymore, you can struggle with a loss of identity a little
Hmm.
bit. And
Yeah.
who am I if I'm not the writer, if I'm not the author, if I'm not the actor? So
Hmm.
it's largely about the transition in the last year, but it's about my life. And I have to share one thing that a friend told me the other day because I had a very informal reading of it back in New York, and a friend gave me wonderful advice that I like to share with your listeners, which
Hmm.
is she said, it's all there, and I think you're dancing around what you really want to say. So she said, go towards the fear.
Got you.
Go to the fear. So I think that is where the most compelling work for an artist comes from, is that thing that we're afraid to communicate, that thing that we're afraid to say. Because I think a lot of people think that being vulnerable is an act of weakness, but it's actually an act of courage.
Yes. I
So when you
agree.
get on that platform, there's a lot of courage and vulnerability. So I've taken her note the last couple weeks in my revisions and really tried to go toward the fear.
Hmm. Very, very interesting. So, talking about fear and what you revealed during your very compelling TED Talk, I watched the whole thing.
Thank
And
you. Yeah.
what I really liked about what you spoke about was that we're not a one dimensional human beings. There are many aspects of who we are that we bring together to make one person. And sometimes when you are only focused on one thing about yourself, you're not you're not like in your full self, and then you might even appear boring, which you're not. So obviously you went deep into yourself, and you started studying more spirituality, philosophy, psychology, and just understanding more about the human experience. And now look at you, you're going and talking and teaching about this and helping fellow actors and filmmakers and even other people reach into themselves and be more multidimensional. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for those wonderful comments, and thank you
Thank you.
for taking the time to sit down and watch that whole TED talk. You're absolutely right, KK. I mean, as I mentioned in that TED talk, I was a one-dimensional person. I read scripts and plays all day, and I loved it. But the whole thing about expression is you have to draw from your life, and if you don't have anything to draw from, you're not going to really have much to say. So one of the things that I said at the last part of that TED talk was at my final year at drama school, we were being directed by a very talented teacher, and she pulled us all aside after a really tough rehearsal, and she said, you guys, the more you build who you are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
how you educate yourself, what interests you in the world, how you identify the issues you care about, all
Yeah,
of those things are going to help you make you a better performer.
got you.
And it took me years to figure that out. But the
Mm.
more I sort of, because I think the more that you learn, the more that you travel, the more that you succeed, the more that you fail, the more that you fall in love, have your heart broken, the more compelling your life story is going to be.
That's
And,
true.
and it's all going to serve you, not just as an artist, but in whatever you do, because you can't help but draw from all those experiences and those things. And it's going to make you much more compelling. There's so much going on in the world, and I just think it's so important to be a world citizen, to be somebody who informs herself and constantly wants to know more. And so I just, I was very much a one-dimensional person, and I needed to get out of my own head. And KK, I just kind of got tired of hearing my own voice. I love storytelling, but come on, let's be honest. There is something about standing on a stage where this is me, look at me, look at me. So it's
Absolutely.
not the most altruistic
Thing.
cause. So
Yeah.
if you can share that and find a way to build a tribe and community around your artistry, then I think you're cooking. I think that's something special.
I'm feeling it already. Seriously, I mean, from meeting you last year and to now, there's such a big evolution, and I know a lot of people are going to benefit. And you have written a book. What is the book titled?
Yeah, so the book is called To the Prospective Artist: Lessons from an Unknown Actor.
Okay.
And, that's just basically the TED Talk is a series of tenets from that book. So,
Gotcha.
there's so many resources out there on where to get the best headshots or how to impress a casting director. But when I first got to drama school, I was blown away by the fact that there wasn't anything on the well-being of the actor, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And you're dealing with
Yes.
these highly sensitive people, the
Mm-hmm.
most competitive industry on the planet, and there wasn't the support that I was hoping for. So I just share lessons that I've kind of been discussing, and everything that I learned from traveling and serving my community, and then it was through those experiences that I learned how to define my own success.
Wow.
I learned to create my own opportunities, and even take a step back and realize when it was time to maybe pivot and maybe go in another direction and maybe
Mm-hmm.
pursue another dream. So um, it really is about my journey. It's less about the nuts and bolts of being an actor, but more about the nuts and bolts of being a well-rounded person who happens to act.
That's amazing. I love it. And like I said, it can be related to many other fields or professions. So it's a great message. And where can the book be found?
You can right now you can get the book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
If you just if you just type into The Perspective Artist, you can also go to nickmaccarone.com,
Okay.
Maccarone.
Okay.
And I'm also in the process of getting a paperback edition printed, so I'll be
Okay.
able to, because I know a lot of people, and I'm the same way. They're kind of old school, they like being able to hold
Touch
a
and
book
feel.
and be able to
Yeah.
highlight it. I'm totally the same way, so we're gonna get that out as soon as we can.
That's awesome. I really, really appreciate it. So, what do you think a year from now looks like for you?
Oh wow, that's a wonderful question. Um, I Well, a year from now, I would like to have performed the one man show,
Okay.
and I'm going to film it. So I want that to be available on my website for people to see. And then I hope I'm working on my feature film, which is called Oaktown.
Oh wow.
And
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Hope
yeah, it's pretty.
I can just do a walk by.
I was just thinking, I'm gonna get you in there for sure. Yeah, we got to get you in there.
Love
Uh,
it.
um, and that's already written. We're just going through some edits right now,
That's
and I've
awesome.
written several shorts. I want to get my first feature out there. But in the meantime, I hope that I am teaching at a place or where I can be of value, whether I'm on the public speaking market, or if I'm at a university or a high school, whatever it is. I just want to be offering value and continuing like yourself, just to offer value and create positivity and be of service, man. I think that's the most important thing. How can we further each other's mission? You know?
Absolutely. That's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I can only see greater things in your horizon.
Oh, I
And
appreciate you.
and so
Yeah. What about you? You got so many things going on. I got to keep up with you, Kiki. That's my
I
motivation.
tap into your energy. Everybody that I find inspiring, there's something about them that, of course, makes me say, can I talk to you on this, platform? Because we are learning from each other and we're all evolving every day, as you know. So this is great, and it feels almost like a spiritual experience because two human beings are exchanging energies and lessons in the
Yeah,
process.
yeah, that's so
So,
true. I came across a quote today by Bill Nye, the science guy.
all right.
And, he said, whatever person you meet in the world will always know something that you don't. I think that's so true. Obviously, it's true. So you can always find something. You can always get value from somebody else. Everybody has a different set of experiences and insights. So there's always something to learn. And this might sound funny, but you can also learn what not to do. Uh,
Exactly. You don't have to
well,
make all the mistakes. You can learn from other people's experiences.
yeah, that's equally valuable. Equally valuable.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Save
Yeah,
you a ton of time.
it's a lot of time and pain, and that's my whole thing. Is if I can somehow, shorten the learning curve of somebody else with experiences or mistakes that I've made, I'm totally happy to do that. So, and I
Awesome.
think that comes from being as honest and transparent about your own failures, um, as possible, and just being like, look, I'm a deeply flawed person, and
Absolutely.
but I get up every day and I try to
Hmm.
move forward and do the best that I can, and that's really all we can do, with regards to whatever you do in life.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, if in a final thought, someone's watching and they're like, "Man, I really connect with this guy Nick, and he seems really positive, and I'm just scared. I don't know what to do." Can you just speak to that person and just kind of maybe you might be that shining light that might ignite a fire in them to do that thing they've always
Uh,
wanted to do? Just tell him or her in a few seconds,
you're being
what your
yeah.
thoughts are.
Well, I tell you what, that's a really good question. That comes up a lot. One of them is the greatest gift that being an actor has given me is having no fear of failure. So, a lot of times we are so petrified of what other people think. My philosophy is this, and I've cultivated this through time. But if I put something out into the world and I think it has value, and I really, really believe in it, and if somebody else doesn't like it, that's not my problem. It's not my problem. It doesn't mean I'm not open to constructive feedback. It just means that you have to protect your dreams and you have to protect what you believe in fiercely. So, what I would say to somebody, let's say somebody wants to start writing, and I get emails from people who don't know where to start. My thing is this: start small. So if KK wants to write a screenplay, go to your desk and write one sentence. One sentence. Tomorrow, try and write two. The next day, three. Even if they're awful, because it will be at first. It always is, right, when you're first starting out something. But if
Absolutely.
you keep doing it, what happens is you develop consistency. And once you develop consistency, they say it takes 40 days, 60 days to develop a habit. It might be different for each person, but once you develop consistency, you will move mountains to keep that routine if it's important enough to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is, I promise, no matter how bad it is or how bad it feels, the quality
Mm-hmm.
will catch up.
Awesome.
Quality will catch up. Just start.
Just
start.
I love it. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure talking to you, learning from you, and chatting with you. Thank you very much for being a guest. All your handles are going to be shown after the program, so I appreciate you. And of course, you guys need to watch this guy. He's definitely going places. Thank you so much, Nick.
Hey, KK, I just want to say I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good one, okay?
Okay, KK, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.